Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this the news beat presented to you by Ladies Like and Jess Sentino. Follow the beat from the studio to the street. Info with the flow keeps you sharp and in the know. Sit back, relax, enjoy the news. Follow. Things are looking bad in South Africa. Political chaos surrounding Jacob Zuma. Corruption and bad credit ratings have put the country under.
Standard & Poor downgraded the South African government bond, giving it a BB+, equal to a junk rating, a bad investment.
Civil society groups and opposition parties have planned to take to the street and march this week. They blame Zuma for the downgrade.
Even if they don't know how rating companies operate, South Africans are fed up with the system, which has not improved since apartheid came to an end.
The downgrade will make capital more expensive and loans for regular South Africans less attractive, with less money to spend.
The whole economy is affected in the end. The price of food and imported goods will soon increase, and all South Africans will feel the pressure of uncertainty.
But this might ignite the economy and bring about more radical policy. But people are watching and ready to get back to the streets if necessary, to keep politicians and bucks from destroying the economy.
Global populations are living longer than ever before, as many of the old people continues to grow. However, the leading causes of death and disability in many global nations have changed from communicable diseases in children to non-communicable diseases in adult population. The continent of Africa has made remarkable progress in reducing death from many communicable diseases. Polio and leprosy are close to elimination as some of the continent's major health impediments, and there has been complete eradication of river blindness. Early infant conditions like lower respiration infections and diarrhea have also been reduced, including measles, tetanus and malaria. And although HIV/AIDS is still the leading cause of adult death on the African continent, more people are now receiving life-saving treatment. However, communicable maternal, nutritional and newborn diseases continue to devastate the poor healthcare system of many African countries, as Africa now has 19 of the 20 global states with the highest maternal and newborn mortality rates. There has also been an escalation of diseases like cancer, diabetes and obesity in the majority of Africa's fast-growing cities, and a steep rise in road injuries, which have quickly become one of the major causes of disability. Alfred William Franklin is known as the grandfather of allergy, and at 105 years ago, he still goes about with his work with poise and energy. Check out MC Yala bringing you the facts always with a good story and tight rap.
The octogenarian is still invited to international conferences and official dinners, the most eminent and oldest among the allergy practitioners. Dr. Franklin, who was born in 1912 as a twin, served in the 2 World Wars in the Royal Medical Corps of Britain. He, however, spent 3.5 years as a captured prisoner in Singapore, where he observed the allergies among other prisoners of war. At the end of the war, Dr. Franklin got a job at St. Mary's Hospital in 1961. He introduced the use of pollen count as part of weather forecasts in the media, which has helped thousands of people every year. He also introduced the view that an allergy reaction is due to a malfunctioning immune system, and compelled his counterparts to come up with new treatments for the allergy victims. The British immunologist, who once served as a registrar to Alexander Fleming during the development of penicillin, has treated royalties, stars and world leaders like Iraq's former dictator Saddam Hussein. In June 2015, he was awarded an MBE for services on allergy research, and he still contributes to journals and consults people on their allergies at such a grand old age. I'm MC Yala, reporting for Newsbeat.
That was MC Yala with the news on the beat. Check her online if you need a repeat. People like to say anything a man can do, a woman can do too. But can Uganda really let a woman's dream come true? Irene Kasubo is a bodybuilder and a woman, aiming to be the world's bodybuilding champion. At 25 with 3 gold medals, she has a chance to advance and go the distance. But few people are happy for her success. Many believe she lifts weights in excess, especially women who call her manly and say she will never marry or have a family. The major issue is her physical appearance, including the dress code required on stage. It's possible that things will soon change. The sport welcomes women of every range, from those interested in muscles and weightlifting to those who prefer gymnastics and modeling. To achieve the physical body that they seek, Irene and other women train 4 days a week. These female bodybuilders face many challenges, like sponsors who want to take advantage. They expect sexual favors in exchange for getting female bodybuilders on stage. But these women have set their terms and conditions. They don't want to compromise their profession. They have big dreams for their future, and they won't be held back by the Ugandan culture. That was the news on the beat. Next week will be another hit. Still Ladies Like and Jess Sentino, reporting live and direct with love and respect. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Yes, follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the